Hey, how's everyone doing this afternoon slash morning? Good to see people here. Who's all here in the chat? Anybody here? No one's here? Mubot's here? Mubot, where you at? Where you at, Mubot? Mubot?
I am Mubot.
Mubot's here. He's here somewhere. Anyways, if you're here, we'll start up some assignment. We can do anything people want here. So if you're in the chat, just say, hey, Brian, let's do this. Let's work on this assignment. We're gonna do some chapter 2 probably if no one says anything. I'll just do work. People can check it out later. Chapter 2. Chapter 2, loading into the course. My Pearson and Canvas have a little bit of an issue as of late, so we're hoping we can get that all fixed up. And that's how we do. I feel like I need to move, because I'm over here a lot. Over here a lot. I feel like I need to, can I move? Well, that's the wrong thing to move. We're doing some adjustments on the fly here. Where's me? I'm on green screen. There's me. Oh, there we go. Can I get more of the mic? Nope. That's all the mic is. It's the center on the screen. I can be right there. Bring this over here. There we go. Look at that. There we go. Microphone all the way. Center screen. Okay. We have chapter 1 due tonight. Let's start with chapter 1 quiz. Due tonight, and 2/3 of people haven't done it. So please start early on these. I feel like people probably don't hear the what I'm saying now. Because, yeah, if you're hearing this, you're awesome. You're awesome. I'm worried someone just like, here's where he does the assignment. I don't need to hear what he's saying. I don't need to hear the extra things. I'm good. The earlier you start, the better. And I truly mean that. Chapter 1 quiz due tonight. And let's go in here. Okay. Some chapter 1 quiz. Working on the assignment. All right, what people doing tonight? Let's see. What time is it in the stream? 6:33. Stat 201. Chapter 1 quiz. First question is many grocery stores. Let's go check it out here. Let's go do it. Okay, we'll probably get through a lot of these. As you can tell, there are a lot of questions to do. A lot of questions. So grocery stores collect data on you with your loyalty cards, and that's good because then you get discounts. They're not trying to save you money. They're trying to figure out how to sell you more items. They're trying to figure out what you're buying and not buying. So shouts to grocery stores. What do these cards allow them to collect? Pretty much anything, and that's the tricky part because like even my Pearson should know the answer is anything you tell them. And so you can probably figure out where someone lives. You tell them that. It's hard to figure out how much time they spend in the grocery store because you'd have to have like some near field identification, amount of money the customer spends, how many purchases they make, identities of other stores. Unless you tell them that, they wouldn't be able to find that without merging data sets. What are some reasons we might do this? Probably everything except shoplifting, which we could maybe do. So once again, I'm not doing a big in-depth of this question because it's kind of like, why do we collect data? It is actually super important, but the point is we collect data to understand customers and make decisions if we're doing it in the business world. And so this is how grocery stores collect data. First question, done. Let's do the next one. It's going to take me more time to take the note on what question this is than it is to do the question. Stat 201, chapter 1 quiz. Kind of get a mini lesson when I do this. Many online retailers. Now we're talking about the online retailers. Keep data on their customers, even products they look at. What they do? You go to a page and that's sometimes it's called a bounce if you go to a web page and you leave. If you don't go any deeper into the web page, the URLs. So keep a lot of data on like, do you go to the site? How long do you stay on the site? All this information. What do online retailers hope to gain from such information? I mean, I'll tell you this much. I'm not even reading these. I'm just going everything. If I get this wrong, it's not my fault. Okay. So there's obviously a wrong one, but they hope to gain a lot of things. Let's see what the wrong one is here. Revenue from selling the data to marketing companies. Maybe. Guidance in pricing and how to maximize profit. Oh, that's a definite. Yeah. Guidance in design and placements of links to personalize the website experience. Little iffy on that. Revenue from selling customers' data back to the customer. Sell it back to the customer? I don't think so. There we go. Okay, I wish it said select 3 out of 4. That'd make it easier. Yeah, haven't done this one in a while. I mean, they could. Why are they going to sell your data back to you? You have your data. You should know your data. I don't know. It might be, if they sell it to me, then I use data. So data privacy is a thing. So we have to look into that. But I just looked them all to see if it was everything, because you can do anything with data. It's kind of the theme of data. If you have data, you can do a lot. So this is really, we don't sell data back to the person who gives us data. So I was like, that seems fishy. The other, there was like guidance on how to maximize profits. That was a definite yes. So once again, this is just, why do we collect data? Why do we use data? Data helps us make decisions in a world where people say, what do we do? How do we market this? How do we maximize profits? Well, we have to have data, data-driven decisions. Okay, another one about the sensors in a parking lot. I kind of like this one. This one's pretty good. There's my Pearson questions that are awesome. Shouts to my Pearson, our reps at my Pearson, who help us out if we have issues, which we're currently working through. Okay, sensors in parking lots. Help detect and communicate when spaces are filled in a large covered parking garage next to an urban shopping mall. How might the owners of the parking garage use the information both to attract customers and to help the store owners in the mall make business plans? Well, you think about it, if you know when people are there in the garage, you can tell people these are the busiest times. You could maybe offer discounts to have people come in and be there at certain times, to be like, hey, these are the not busy times. So you could try to drive up service when, you know when the garage is being used. You know when people are there. So with that, you know when to tell people to have people working. You know when, say, here, your employees should probably be here because these are the busy times. And you probably look around and see that too. But since I know data, I could just look at this. And if I was maybe thinking about purchasing a shop in this mall, well, I could say, here's the busy times. Here's how we should plan our schedule accordingly. And rather than just going to the mall and watching, I could have actual real data on utilization of the mall parking lot, parking garage, and know how to make decisions about staffing. Okay. The owners can invest in a larger, no. The owners of the parking garage can advertise the availability of parking. They can also communicate with businesses about what hours and when more spots are available and when they should encourage more business. Probably. That sounds about right. Got it right. There we go. Look, that's what I was saying. Not that I also kind of knew the answer from doing it multiple times, but kind of makes sense. Like this is when we're busy. This is when you should try to drive up business. The parking lot just tells you when they're busy. Okay, next question. We're rocking and rolling. We're doing like 2 minutes a question with full explanations. I'm taking the notes here. Satellites. Satellites in my eye. I don't sing. Satellites send back nearly continuous data on the Earth's land masses. So that means at all points they're sending a stream of data so we can see in real time what's going on with the land masses, the oceans, and atmosphere from space. How might researchers use this information in both the short and long term to help study changes in the Earth's climate? So it's interesting, if you look at climate data, there's ice core data. We have stations all around the world, basically, that collect data. We have satellite data. So there's a lot of different data on climate, and the satellites are going to give their own kind of view from space. And so how could we do this? Well, short term, we can manipulate land masses. Yeah, we don't really do that. We don't do that. In short-term, research can provide more accurate reports on weather patterns. Okay, yeah. Good weather patterns. Get some, what is it? NOAA? I don't know what group. The people who give us our weather forecast, including hurricanes and tsunamis, like the Tsunami Midnight Run. Good stuff. In the long term, the rise and fall of temperature and water levels can help in the planning for future problems and guide public policy to protect our safety. Seems about right. What's the next one say? Researchers can accurately predict a natural disaster. I think we might be able to do that. Researchers can add more features to the satellite data collection. We can collect more data. I think we're pretty good on answer B, that we can give good weather forecasts in the short term, and we can make plans for countering climate change in the future. We're good to go. Okay, next question. Looks like an easy one. I might get this whole quiz done. Sports announcers love to quote statistics. Oh, I've gotten this one wrong before. My brain's like, Brian, don't double guess it. During the Super Bowl, they particularly love to announce when a record has been broken. So you got to think, you got to look at the data sheet. You got to see the data sheet in your head. So what do you need to do? I'm going to open up some data right here. Do I have to open up my jump license? Oh, no. I Gotta go get a jump license. Let's go to R. You know I love some R Studio. If you're in the chat, feel free to say hey, because remember, Mubot's here. So you get points for coming to office hours. You get points for coming to class. Points, points, points. Okay. So we actually have some NFL data. Rex. What's up, Andrew? I knew we had someone here. If you have questions, let me know too, because I can switch what I'm doing. If you're like, hey, actually, chapter 2 I'm stuck on, just let me know what you're working on. And if it's 320 or what are you working on? Hey, what's up, Christopher? Don't let gang know the grind. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, it's all about that grind. So here is the NFL data set. This isn't the one they're talking about, but it's each game. So that is the who for this. The who of this data set. Actually, it's each year for a team. The who of this data set is each year for a team. Like the wins they had the following year. So you could use this year's wins to predict next year's wins, which next year's wins is kind of the variable of interest. Like, can you predict Abby? Good to see you. Noel, currently good to see you. I'm currently working on the quiz right there. If you have a question you're working on, just put the first 3 words of it. So if you notice, I'm just going through and working this full chapter 1 quiz. Be like, hey, Brian, my question says this. I'll tell you the answer. Man, I got everyone talking. We'll throw some more points again. So, what are they trying to monitor about this game? Well, they're not trying to understand the who is not the sports announcers. Probably the individual games, like each Super Bowl, because they're going to tell you if a record was broken. So the who is going to be, yeah, I've said the 2 teams before. No. You'd have a list of records and who holds the records. Could you imagine that? Like record, longest pass in the Super Bowl, record, most yards in a Super Bowl. And then the who is kind of each, what I put down, each individual game or each Super Bowl. So each Super Bowl has its stats. And then they've got this data sheet of in this Super Bowl, there were this many yards. In this Super Bowl, there were this many passes. In this Super Bowl, there was this. So the data set would just look like if this was like the 2002, 2003, 2004, 2005, 2006 Super Bowl. And so the who are the Super Bowls. And then the what's are the stats on the Super Bowls, like the yards per play in a Super Bowl, which this is not the data set they're talking about, but the rows are the who's, and then the columns are the what's. The what's are what you collect on, and the rows are the who's. We'll do the next question right here. Remember, drop a question in the chat. I'm just going through each one. This one's also in the homework. It's pretty easy. It's awesome. I'll try to do it quickly here. But it's so good to see so many people here. As you said, the grind continues. You can get points right now. The website, www.Nobel Peace Prize. What does it collect data on? It collects data on people who have won the Nobel Peace Prizes. So if you think about the data set, you're going to have each person and Nobel Peace Prize they won. And kind of the what's are like, what was it in? Who did they work with? I know it's a who did they work with, but that would be a what, like what people did they work with, I should say then. But the who is the rows of the data. So you'd have each here, like the person and the things. Yeah. Can you skip? Oh, yeah. Just put the start of the question and I don't have to go in order. It's a pretty, oh, we got to make the randomness. It's a pretty random order. I'm going to do it between this set. We're going to do a little fixing up at Brian's stream. Yep. You can also bounce around questions too. So it's going to be the people. Because that's what we care about if we look at Nobel Peace Prizes. The people who have won Nobel Peace Prizes. Let me get randomness up here. Randomness. It has to be moved around on all screens. There we go. Why is it all the way there at the bottom? There we go. So I see every question. Christopher, good question right there. I see all questions. So I have a view of every single question because you get a random assortment of these. You get 5 of these, I believe, like you're saying, and then I can see every single question. So you're just seeing me work through everything someone could see. And then the good news is, especially if you ask, I put it in the video with a timestamp, and then you can come back and look at it. And so always remember this, like, if you're like, I have no idea how to do this question, you can actually search the channel. You can go up to the search bar on the channel. It'll be in a different spot for you, but then you can search because I've probably done the question in the past. And if you look, I enter in the first 3 words of it usually, like many grocery stores. No, yours is shorter. I just have access to every single question you might see. So that's why mine is longer. And drop any first 3 words of a question and I'll start it up. I got the next one going right here. Got the next question going. Which one's it say? A research center. A research, not researcher. Research center. Okay, with the research center, what are they doing? An extensive survey consisting of an interview and medical examination with a representative sample of about 5,000 people. Pretty good sample. So that would be the who's in the sample. The interview includes demographics, socio-economical, dietary, all that good stuff. Those are the what's. So we got the what's. The examination is kind of how they're doing it. So we got the who, the what's, and the how. Describe the sample and the population. The sample is the 5,000 individuals they want to understand. The population is everybody that they want to understand. So the population is not the 5,000. That's the sample that they're going to get their understanding from. So the sample is the 5,000, and the population is all people. They want to understand all people. The sample are the ones they collect data on. Describe the who. The who are the people in the study, the selected subjects, and the what is they're more in depth right here. Okay. The who is the selected study. The what includes, it sounds about right. I'm iffy on this one. Oh, the Ian Walker, yeah, on his bike. Let's do that one next. That's a big one. The Ian Walker on his bike. Not the what isn't the survey. The what's the variables. This sounds right. The who is not all people. Wait. The who's who we collect data on. Yeah, it's the rows. The rows of data, Brian. Don't second guess yourself, Brian. You change right answers to wrong answers. We know that. Don't do that. So the who is who you collect data on. It's the literal what you have data. So the who isn't the whole population. It's the rows in your data set, and that would be our sample. So the sample is the rows in our data. Let's talk about some Ian Walker. Eddie Walker, this is your life. Never had a son or a wife, but you sure had a hell of a time. I gotta listen to that song again. Where is Ian Walker? Was it literally the next question? That'd have been funny. Tell me if you see it. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, I skipped over it. Here it is. It is the last one. I thought it was the last one. Okay, for the who, I think it's about the helmets, but I'm uncertain. The who's going to be, and let me mark this real quick. Lucas, good to see you there. We'll throw out some more points for you. This is a tricky one, and here's the thing. You get to see the right answers, and we get to talk through it. He's going to, let me explain. I'm going to write the timestamp, and then I'll walk through what this question's all about. It's a good one. You know, tricky ones are when you learn a lot. Okay. Ian Walker. Feel fun with that. Okay. So you got this dude, Ian Walker. And he's a researcher at the University of Bath, back in England. And here's his bike. We do some A+ drawings. We got to get Ian Walker over here. He's going to hop on his bicycle. Really? Okay. Here's Ian Walker. Put him on his bike here. Very important we do this visually. There we go. There's Ian Walker. On his bike. Let's shrink him down a little bit here. Perfect. Ian Walker riding on his bike. And he's going through traffic right here. And he notices that sometimes cars are closer to him, whether he wears a helmet or not. So he's monitoring this distance by which cars pass him by on whether or not he's wearing a helmet. Does that make sense? Whether or not he's wearing a helmet is what he's manipulating in this study, and he's measuring the distance the cars have to him when he's doing the study. So the thing that he's interested in measuring is the distances the cars are away from him. So each thing he would collect on is like a car passing him and the distance the car is away. And with this, the what, I'm thinking through the what right now because I'm doing it without kind of the question. That would be the who of each thing, the distance each car is away. And he wants to understand in truth the true difference between whether or not he's wearing a helmet and the distance his cars are away. Good job right there, Andrew. A lot of points. Okay, so what is the who in the study? So each instance of a car passing him is a who. Because every time a car passes him, he would collect data on how far that car is away. Does that make sense? That's the who. You think about the row of the data, that you'd have a row right here. And actually, here I can make the data for you. And it would look like this. Data frame. And we'd say instance equals 1 through, we'll do 4 instances. And then we'd have distance. And we'd do it in like feet or something. So like, not feet. Sure, it's feet. So it's, yeah. Okay. So here's the data now. What do you notice about that fourth instance if this is feet? I mean, they're all probably pretty bad. So this is how his data probably looks. Every time a car passes him, I don't know how he's doing. Maybe he has a camera on him, but he can monitor the distance. How about that fourth instance when a car passed him? That fourth instance when a car passed him, how did that go? Oh my gosh. Oh gosh. It was like this. It was right near his head. Oh gosh. So that fourth instance was super close, and this is what he's monitoring right here. This distance right here is what he's recording every time he's going through the data. And that time was pretty bad right there. So that's what his data would look like visually. What are the what's for this study? So what is he measuring? And you only have to select one. It's weird that they do this. So I kind of made it clear, what is he measuring? The who is each time a car passes him, which is kind of odd because that's each row is a pass of a car. And then the what is what. So you can see the data. This is the who, each instance of a car passing, which is the identifier. Like it identifies the first passing, the second passing, things like that. And then the what, the big what is what, because there is instances in this data set, which is a what, but the big what is what. Watch me get one wrong. The big what would be what? It's going to be the distance. Yep, in my data set, it's distance and instance. And the big what he's interested in is what is the distance. You're right. The population of interest, now be careful, is it A, B, C, or D? Now remember, the population is everything. It's not just the data someone collects. That's the sample. So the population is everything. And this is where people usually make a mistake because they choose the wrong one. Don't worry about getting it wrong. Do you think it's A, B, C, or D? And if you're reading along, read these answers right here. We're going to start a poll. I might get it in time. You can put it in the chat also if you want. Click one of the answers. Let's see how many people got watching live right here. Do you think it's all drivers when they're passed by cyclists, all cars when past the researcher? And Noel, you are right, because all cars that pass the researcher. Oh wait, one hit check answer. All cars that pass the researcher is the sample data. So don't worry if you answered B. Shout outs to you. We're throwing you more points. B is the sample data which he collected. That's the sample because he has data on all cars that pass him. He wants to understand the truth about cars passing people, which that would be all drivers when they pass cyclists. He doesn't know that. He's going to make estimates about what the difference is when cars pass cyclists, whether they're wearing a helmet or not. So what is the who in this? Each instance of a car passing him. What is the key what? The distances the car passes him at is the key what. And then what does he want to truly understand the population of interest? The real distance cars pass cyclists at. Does that make sense? And good questions right there. I really like this question. It's a kind of cool, like, I don't know if it's real data, like that a dude actually did this. Probably. So good job. Another who question. Talking about the who today. That is, if you understand that question, it's kind of weird. Like, it, talks about a guy collecting data about bikes, so kind of interesting. Not that bikes are weird. Facebook uploads more than 350 million photos every day onto its servers. For this collection, describe the who and the what. So if you think about a data set, each photo is kind of going to be a who, and then the characteristics of the photo is going to be the what. So the who is going to be the photo, and the what's are the facts of the photos if they're tracking the photos in a data frame. That's it. That's all we got. And drop another question in the chat. We might have done all the hard ones, but we could even switch, but we might be able to do the full quiz. That one took seconds. I'm like, what else can I say? It's a lot of who and what here. Variable types are also very important. And the good thing about asking the question is you get the right answer. So you're like, oh, those were the answers. So, hey. A recent newspaper article reported that on Americans' eating habits, the article reported that only about 1/3 of American adults eat 2 or more servings of fruit per day, and only 26% ate 3 or more servings of vegetables per day. Californians ate the most fruit. I just got some peaches yesterday. So, they look good. They're Publix. While Tennesseans ate the most vegetables. Hey! Vegetables here in Tennessee. The cases in the study were what? The cases. Is that the who? I don't like that word. I don't like this question. When he gets to the answer. The cases. I'm pretty sure it's each America. They're talking about the who. I think they're just using another word. So it'd be Americans they talk to. Yeah. When you start going all these synonymous words, we should just keep with the Who. Good band. So they're talking about the Who. They have to ask an American, how many vegetables do you eat? And then each row of data would be, you know, you talk to American 1 through 5, and then you would just have here, so it'd be American, and then you have servings, and it would just look like this in a data set. You'd have American 1, American 2. So each Who, so I like to show it this way if you can't tell, because you can see the Who right here. Person 1 is a Who, person 2 is a Who, you're a Who, I'm a Who. So servings right here, we did in fractions because I guess we took an average. So you could type in here AVG servings. Not meant to know how to code, but I do love to code because, I don't know, you make data really easy. So there we go. That is the Who and that is the what. Basically, is this not the same question? So the population in the study would be all Americans, because if they want to understand, or if they take a sample of Americans, then they could get data on all Americans. So it would just be all American adults, not the states. We want to understand American adults. Same question, but just kind of what's the population of interest. If we're talking to Americans, we want to get data on all Americans. So good stuff, and great job, Christopher, right there, already way up on the points. Remember, anything you say counts towards points and keeps you active in MuBot's memory. Another one on a Who. We're pretty far into this. I think we've done full chapter 1, but if you're here from 320 or anything, feel free to ask. Remember, you can be chapter 2 right now. You can be data analytics. You can ask whatever you want. Just say, hey, Brian, do this. And I'll say, okay. I might say, oh, I'll do it in a moment. I might be doing this question. But especially in between questions, it's a really good time. A coffee shop. Okay. A coffee shop next to university asks its customers where they live, where they study at the library, and their weekly food budget. The Who, ooh, so don't click the button. They're asking their customers these questions. What's the Who in this study? So they're going to have a database of customers. Who wants to say what the Who is in the chat? I'll throw you some points. So you have customer 1, customer 2. We're only going to do a 2-customer data set. So we'll go customer. What is the Who in this thing? You see, I'm doing the what's. So live, and this person lives in the fort. This person number 2 lives downtown. Downtown. And we have right here spent at store, and we have they spent $100 and they spent $1,000, and we have here loyalty. If they're a loyalty customer, we have here yes, and we have here no. What is the Who in this study? What is the Who in this study, or this data frame? What is the Who? Yes, the students. Great job. And Nima, good to see you there. Let's make Nima a mod. Adding mods. It is the university students. Abby earning some points for everybody. And this is my own data set of what's. Does it make sense when we say what the Who's and the what's are? Just the way every time I see in my head what a Who and a what is, I go right here and I say the Who's are over here. The Who is this, and the what's, I mean, customers just customer 1, customer 2, and then these are mainly the what's. So this is merely like, this could be an identifier. We're not really interested in analyzing the identifier. You can't have 2 customers 1. Although it's a number, it's just customer 1, customer 2. There's no like, oh, you're 2 more than the other customer. But there's the Who's and there's the what's. So good work right there. And please, if you want, drop a question in the chat. Students at the university, boom, there we go. And if you can answer it without looking at the question, you do even better without looking at the answers. You gotta look at the question though. And here we are with the next one. We got the coffee shop again. Oh, it's the same one. Let's just keep the thing. Coffee shop at the university. It now wants to know what is not a what. So food budget is in there. That's a what. Distance to library is in there. Whether or not they study, that's there. And then where they live. So the coffee shop itself is not a what. That's kind of the where. So we don't talk about where much because it's where they did the study. Here we go. We are way far into this. And I can do this for every quiz throughout the whole semester. Sometimes they get bigger and the questions require more talking. But check out these videos. Thank you for being here live. Drop questions if you got them. Give an example of why in which grade level is treated as categorical. Okay, so we got to think, you're going to look at grade level right here. It needs to be a categorical variable. A football coach wants to know the mean grades. Well, mean is quantitative, so I don't think that's not categorical. A principal is concerned that a disease might be more likely to affect younger students. She finds the average, no, average is mean. Principal wants to know how the average, no. Principal is assigning each student a time for recess. She wants to have students of the same age on the playground at the same time, so she schedules all the students in a given grade at the same time. It's kind of a category, like you're just doing a group right there. So that sounds like a group to me versus the other ones. So you can see the full answer right there. The other ones talk about kind of a quantitative measure, like taking the mean of this. So she's treating it like it's a category of students. A custodian wants to know, we're going to do as a quantitative variable for this next part. A custodian wants to know which part of a school building contains classrooms for which grades. That sounds like groups. A principal wants to assign a student for recess. That's when we step there, so it can't be right. So that's kind of good news too. The principal is concerned about a disease may affect younger students. She finds the average right there, so that looks right. The district superintendent wants to know the grades when the school in their district and about a certain wants to know the grades. That one's iffy, but this one says average. Average is quantitative. So since average is quantitative, you average together numbers, and if you treat things like groups, categories, then you'd have all the people on the playground at the same time. Does that make sense to people? This one's a little tricky, and it kind of blends a little bit of chapter 2 knowledge, because you have to think if it's numbers, you can average numbers, and we kind of hit upon that a little bit in chapter 2. So it's kind of a little tricky, throwing a little quantitative things can be taken as averages, where categories are groups. So this first one treats it like a category, and down here you can see the average grade, and we're treating it like a quantitative variable. The average grade level. Oh yeah, so she literally takes the average grade level. So she's treating grade level like a quantitative variable by taking the average grade level. So she's averaging grade levels. Totally. Postal Service. I like this one a lot here. Kind of makes sense. Postal codes are pretty neat. That's neat. Stat 201. Chapter 1 quiz. The Postal Service. Good band. Don't know any of their songs off the top of my head. Uses 5-digit zip codes to identify locations to assist in delivering mail. In what sense are postal codes categorical? B, oh my gosh. That is correct, I think. Oh, we're just rocking and rolling. And just so you can see, I might still have the map up. Do I? No. No. Yes, I do. Here's the map of postal codes, and you can see how they're different categories. If you live in 37916, you don't have 37916 a postal code. You are in group 37916. It is not in the quantity of postal code. It is a category, and it's a little bit ordinal because there's an order to it and how it is distributed across the United States. So it'd probably be categorical ordinal, and they're not identifiers because two people can have the same postal code. So good stuff right there. We are just doing great. Oh my gosh. And where'd it go? Okay, let's do the next question. Look at this. We can almost see the end of it. We're very close. Nice and easy right here. So this is a question. Feel free to answer in the chat. Chris, let me throw you some points, Christopher, right there. Feel free to answer this while I take the timestamp. See if you can do it. Good practice. Ooh, I must have taken a wrong timestamp on that last one because I'm in the future. Mubot talking about points right there. Okay, a poll question. In the next 5 years, do you think things will get worse, better, or stay the same? That's how people answered. What kind of variable is this? Well, and it is interesting. Well, there's, I don't know on there and no response. If it was just, and here's a trickier question, if it was just worse, stay the same, or better, it's a what variable? Which, there's two answers then. If it was just worse, better, or get the same, it's a what variable? If it was just worse, better, stay the same, it'd be a what variable? I'm asking a tougher version of this. If it was worse, same, and better, it would technically be a what variable? Does anyone know? Let's see what people say in the chat. Points for any answers. We throw out points left and right, and you just give a guess. There's two right answers right now for this. Because think, worse, that's lower. Same is kind of middle, and better's higher. So that is correct. Great job, Christopher, right there. See, so that actually is going to be the answer. And in this instance, it would also be ordinal. Because we have these other categories like I don't know, they really don't go in order. So because we have IDK and no response or NA, freedom right there. Oh, didn't someone say freedom? We have, if you type DF, Mubot will do that for degrees of freedom. I thought Mubot was talking away right there. This is categorical. It's not ordinal though, because we have things that don't go in an order, like no response and I don't know. So technically it's also nominal because there's no order to it really, like the whole thing. So it's categorical, nominal. Nominal just means there is no inherent order. Let me pull up those notes we made yesterday. People can screenshot it if they want. We made a really good list of notes right here. I might even try to remember to show this at the start of class. But we have this really good list of notes, 2 pages of notes, kind of reviewing what we did on the first day. So if you want, write down these notes, a little shorthand on categorical, nominal, ordinal, identifier, quantitative, continuous, discrete. And I don't think I went into enough detail on that, but it's not usually big test questions. Big things are categorical and quantitative, and then the subtypes within. This is how I would take notes on the information. So it's categorical, it's groups. That's all it is. It's also nominal technically. So, okay, next question. Here we go. I gotta look at the timestamp. Stat 201, chapter 1 quiz, June 2011 Gallup poll. Okay, they asked Americans, do you think things are getting good or bad? Do you think we're in good or bad times? What kind of variable is this? It's categorical. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's categorical because it's words and stuff. Yeah, sure. Okay, that was easy. It's categories. Oh man, we're in the easier ones right now. What should we do after this? Data analytics, what should we do? Because I think we're gonna have more time. We'll have a little bit extra time. That one took 30 seconds because I was like, it's categories. What else can I tell you? A pharmaceutical company. Okay. They collect data on how long it takes a drug to go through your bloodstream in seconds. So how long does it take a blood thing to go through your bloodstream? And so you have to think, if you collected this data, what would it look like? You'd probably have different patients. So once again, you're not meant to know how to do this kind of stuff, but we'd have patient, and we'd have patient 1 through 5, and we're collecting in time through bloodstream. Sure. Excellent. And then you'd have like here, like 5 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 3 seconds, 2 seconds, why not? And then you go right here and you realize that you made an error. Oh, you didn't put an equals right here, that's what you did. And then you go look at the data. There you go. So what you have right here, I saw you went over the question about recent newspaper, what I'm confused about when they ask what kind of variable. Yeah, let me do that here. Let me do that. So time through the bloodstream right here is how long it takes, mean time through, oh, we gotta go DF, time through bloodstream. And there you go. I think it's quantitative because it has to be it's a real number, and good answers right there, Noel. So it is quantitative because it's an actual amount. Does that make sense? It's quantitative because it's an actual real number that represents a distance. And the way to know it's a real number is to subtract and be like, patient 1 took 2 more seconds for it to go through their bloodstream than patient 2. This is not an alias for groups, where if we had something here like gender, so if you had gender in this data set, gender is a what variable? Gender is a what variable? So there's gender in the data set. And there's data sets that look like that. I promise I could probably find you a data set today. Gender is categorical. And this is not your quantity of gender. Like if gender 0 is male, I don't have 0 gender. I'm just in group 0, and that is the group we assign male. That is gender male. So it doesn't mean you have 0 gender. It just means we're representing this as a group. So sometimes you see categorical variables as numbers, but you will never see a quantitative variable as a word. So if you have things here like yes, no, so if you have, or yes, sure, MF, or we'll just, yeah, you can't have yes, no gender. Yes, I have gender. Sure. So now I had to do 5, I should have just done 3 individuals. Gotta make sure it's all the same spellings, like we're making real data right here. So now if you go look, you'll notice there's no way this is quantitative because it's a word. So this has to be categorical. Patient is going to be the identifier for the data set, which is a categorical variable. There's no like patient 5 is not 4 more than patient 1. It's just patient 5 identifies who the patient was. And then time through bloodstream is quantitative. So here's an important thing you should be able to do, like I did right here. You should be able to go to a data set like this, and you should be able to understand that this is an identifier, which is a special case categorical variable. This is quantitative, and it could have been measured continuously, which means it could have decimals. It was measured mainly discretely, like we just did whole numbers. You could measure it in a continuous fashion, like 2.4 seconds, and you probably want more precision on that. That just means collecting more decimals. And this is categorical nominal because it has no order to it. Does that make sense? How we have an identifier to start. It is a categorical variable. We have a quantitative, it's technically collected in a discrete fashion because it's whole numbers. And then we have a categorical nominal. And these are the whats. What do we collect on? And these are the whos. So there you go. It's pretty much a lot of chapter 1 right there. So really good kind of review of what we're doing with data. What type of variable is this? Well, it's quantitative. How long does it take to go through their blood? That's all we got. Let me see your question again. I went over the question about recent newspaper article. Yeah, let's go look at that one again. Recent newspaper, it's going to be around Facebook. Oh, it's right before that. Oh, here it is. So yes, on what kind of variable? So when they ask, or wait, it's the other one, right? Oh, did I miss it? It might be a different one. Or maybe they do different versions of it. Is this it right here? No, is this the question? What kind of variable is this variable? I think this is it. There's so many that start out a recent newspaper article. Why did they do that? They need to be more innovative. They need to think, how do I describe this in a way that is cool? A recent newspaper. I'll say variable type. Okay. So they are collecting data on people. The state they live in is going to be categorical. And it's not really ordinal, it's categorical nominal because there's no real order to the state they live in. And it would just be categorical. It's not a variable because you collect data on state they live in. It's categorical. Is there another recent newspaper? Oh, it's this. Oh, okay, I think it's this. No, I think I found it. This is the tricky one. Okay, let me do this. This, I think we found it. It's like, there is another tricky one. Okay, I'm marking it as a recent, yep, this is it. A recent newspaper article, because they can't come up with new stuff. And we'll say 26% 8-3, you got it. So here's the tricky one. So the phrase 26% ate 3 or more servings a day refers to what kind of variable and why? So here's the thing. People aggregate data. And if you collect data on how many fruits and vegetables people eat, you could go here and go to fruits, and you could collect data on how many vegetables people eat a day and put it in a table. And you could say there we go, 3 or more is 5 people. And then you could divide by, and that's 5/9. So 55.55. So, or they could have just asked people, do you eat 3 or more fruits and vegetables a day? So they could have said to people, do you eat 3 or more fruits and vegetables a day? So this is how they could have also collected the data. They could have asked people, how many, we'll make everybody awesome. There we go. Everybody ate 3 or more fruits and vegetables a day. And here we'll have one person do no. So we can look at the data differently. And so it could be the case that they collected it quantitatively, and we could even find the mean of how many fruits and vegetables eat a day. Or we could find the mean here. I think that'll, oh, it says 3. No, wait a minute, I didn't restore the vector. It's mad. And let's do table. There we go. So you could do this and divide by and row table fruits. Coding time. So you can see here, ooh, oh wait. Divide by 6. Why not? I know what the answer is. There we go. So you have 83.33% of people, and this was collected categorically. This is collected quantitatively. Like, how many fruits and vegetables do you eat a day? Do you eat 3 or more fruits and vegetables a day? So the issue is we don't know how they collected data. And you think the answer is A? So the variable could be either quantitative or categorical. So they could have said, do you eat 3 or more servings a day? Or they could have just said, how many servings do you eat a day? Does that make sense? I'll show it again. So the issue is we don't know if they asked how many servings do you eat a day? Like if they said, how many fruits do you eat a day? If they said this, that's how the data would look. Or if they said, do you eat 3 or more fruits a day? So these are the two ways. Yeah, exactly. Because you could get the data either way, because if I make a table of this, I could go right here and I could say 6 out of 10. That's 5. Here, we'll throw in another person. We'll throw in another 5. There we go. So now 6 out of 10 people, these 6 people ate. Yeah, I love these. That's too crazy. 6 out of 10 people ate 3 or more servings a day. And then down here, do you eat 3 or more fruits a day? And 83.33 said 83.33%. What's really cool is you can just take this times by 100, you get that, and then you throw it inside of a round right here. That's why hopefully someone's like, ooh, I want to check out this coding thing. So you throw it inside of a round, and now you have it rounded to 2 decimals, or you could just round to 0 decimals. I mean, I don't know. Depends on how you want to round it. And so you just work with it and get the answers you're looking for and the answer the company wants. So how many fruits or vegetables do you eat a day? That's how they could have said it. Or do you eat 3 or more fruits and vegetables a day? So it really boils down to how do you ask the question? A really good one right there. Winding down the office hours. We only have 2 more questions. So good stuff. And it looked like easy ones. Okay. We're going to say we got the whole quiz done. Every question. Talk about wow. Chapter 1 quiz. A medical researcher. They are measuring the heart rate of patients. What kind of variable is heart rate? Medical researcher measuring heart rate. What kind of variable is heart rate? Not too bad, right? What kind of variable is heart rate? How would you ask somebody their heart rate? Oh, mine's around 55. 50 or 55. How would you collect heart rate? It's quantitative. How fast is your heart going? Now, technically, I did bird research. Well, my wife did, and I analyzed the data, and it was categorical because it was like groups. But truthfully, you probably want to do it. So what does Ma Pearson know? So here we go. Look at this. You can do heart rate as groups. And here's the research my wife did, and I helped analyze. And there's heart rate as groups, because it's called discretization. So heart rate here was groups, and then count of birds that were in each one, and then the low dose and the high dosage, and the time. That time is the only quantitative variable on here. And this would be stacked side-by-side bar charts. Stacked side-by-side bar charts. Cool. Last question of the day. Coffee shops collecting data. The weekly budget of a student, is it quantitative, categorical, or not a variable? Quantitative, categorical, or not a variable? What do you think? The weekly food budget of a student. What do you think? We got to throw points for the last question. So think about asking me the question. How would you collect money? How would you collect the data on a student's weekly food budget? What would you ask somebody to collect that? And there's possible other answers. How would you collect data on, what would you ask somebody? You walk up to someone, you want to know their weekly food budget. What would you say to them? What question would you ask? How much do you spend? So when you say how much, that's a what? So you're on the right track. How much do you spend on food a week? How much do you spend? So by asking the question, you can kind of say, wait, how much is a what? Quantitative, yep. And then it's like, you could do it as categorical, though. You could say like high spender or low spender. You could say, are you like a big spender or a small spender on groceries on weekly food budget? So you could have like expensive or inexpensive. There's ways to do price as a category, but in its most pure sense, how much someone spends is quantitative, because you would look at the data and you would just have here like spent, and you'd have it in dollars a week, like 200, 250. Yeah, that person spent a lot on groceries. So you just have this as spent, and then you could take the mean of how much people spend like that. Standard deviation is spent. So good stuff, because it's quantitative. Quantitative variables is a quantity. So that's got it. We've now done the full quiz, and I've still got Red Bull on my chair. I might go grab a Red Bull and see Vicky. That might be good. Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's just practice. And thank you, Noelle. Let's throw the big bonus of the day right here. We'll try to do a big bonus every day in class. But thank you, Noelle and Abby and Christopher for being here. Just swing by Red Bull Yummy. What's the best flavor of Red Bull? There's only one answer to this. You should know. It's coconut berry. And I spilled a Red Bull on my chair. So I'm going to try hand sanitize it off. Orange is pretty good. Is it that strawberry apricot? I got a bunch of those for like $1 a Red Bull, and man, I've been going through those. I remember first time I saw like energy drinks and I was like, $1 for an energy drink? Oh my gosh. Now I see an energy drink and I'm like, $1 for an energy drink? Woo! I got problems. Orange and silver? That might be the strawberry apricot. I joke that we should get sponsored by Red Bull. It's like, 1, I don't know if we can. They just get free shoutouts from me. 2, I don't know if I should. Because, you know, hey, Red Bull, I like your product, but I'm just saying, you don't need to be drinking 2 16-ounce Red Bulls a day like Brian Stevens has done. You get the jitters. Just Red Bull. Red Bull doesn't give you wings, it gives you jitters. Drink Red Bull responsibly. So, being halfway serious. Celsius has way more. Celsius is pretty good too. I think it's 0 sugar. 0 sugar Red Bull. I don't know, I'd rather have 0 sugar Celsius. We got those for like $1 too. Anyways, I'll be back here later. Bye for now, everyone. Bye.